Hi, I am at the Murderers Creek Ranch on the Philip W. Snyder Wildlife Area, which is some land that is managed by the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife. I got here at the end of my previous episode, so if you haven't already, you can watch parts 1 and parts 2. You'll find links to those in the description below. In this episode, part 3, I'm gonna explore this ranch a little bit. I'm gonna camp here tonight, and then tomorrow I'm gonna head further up into the backcountry.
For the past couple of days, I've been traveling through the Oregon backcountry, enjoying the stunning scenery of the Ochoco Mountains. This was the perfect opportunity to pay a visit to my buddy Jason, who's been working as a volunteer caretaker out here at the Murderers Creek Ranch. Originally settled in the 1800s and operated well into the 20th century, the buildings are well preserved, so I'm going to take a little time to check it all out.
These barn timbers are just actual trees, even with the bark still on them. The roof joists, also just trees with the bark still on them.
This massive barn is just picture perfect out in this remote valley. A second, newer looking structure stands nearby, so let's take a peek in there. I seem to have disturbed somebody in here. Even though nothing is being actively farmed or raised on this land, the ODFW does have some equipment out here to help maintain the site. The original farmhouse is still standing as well. Murderers Creek flows year-round, working its way down from the mountains above us and bisecting the land. While the original structure of the house dates to the 1800s, over the years the house has been modified and somewhat modernized. More eye-catching than the residence itself are these historic outbuildings, including a stone ice house and a log structure believed to have originally been where any cooking would have occurred. An ODFW permit is required to park your vehicle on this and most other state wildlife preserves. I do indeed have a permit to park.
Crashed the drone into a tree somewhere over there in a tree behind the barn. Crap. seems like it's still trying to fly, but I just can't get it to move. I think it's in those trees there. Oh, crap. It's got to be up in those trees somewhere. Trying to look for that scene. Oh, we see that tree in the background. And then a small tree. Looks like it's not up too high. It's got to be over there someplace. I need to get over this fence. It's definitely looking at that tree right there. What is it looking at? Some little tree. %15 battery. Oh man, I am traipsing through weeds here that are almost as tall as me. These trees all look the same. It wants to return home, but obviously that's not going to happen. Okay. There's some curved branches hanging down and a skinny tree. I could see myself show up. No. And the creek is right there. I think it's probably suspended over the creek. Oh, man. It all looks like that. It all looks like that. Oh man, I hope there's nothing in these weeds because I am traipsing blind through here. It looks kind of like that, but man, I do not see it. It looks like it's pretty low. Can't find that tree. 4%. Sun getting lower. Every single thing out here has thorns. Every single thing. There's literally wild rose and thistle and I don't know what all these other things are that are scratching me. I cannot find the tree. Down to 1%. Okay, the drone finally died. I can't see where it's at anymore. I am pretty seriously scratched and bloodied up. I'm gonna go put on long pants and try some more.
You know, like I said, I've seen the footage. I know how far around the barn it kind of made it.
Yeah.
It definitely helps a lot.
So we rewatched the footage that's cached on the controller. Got a more precise look at where it seemed to have crashed. And it does look like it didn't fall as far down as I thought it did, and it's probably stuck up in one of those trees. We've got a pretty good idea of which tree we're gonna see. We may have to look in the morning at this point because it's just getting too dark.
Oh, there it is. There it is. You see it, Donald? Right there. It's up in the trees. It's all the way out at the tips, too, so not going to be easy to recover.
Oh, I think I see it.
Yeah. It's hard to see in this light, but it's
that's it right there. You're right.
Yeah,
that is
it's
it.
like it looks like a brook in the trees.
Yeah, that is it.
So Donald, earlier today we had a little conversation and I said something about like it's really hard to get DJI products right now with the tariffs and the they're holding up DJI products out at sea. And I said right now is not a good time to break any of your DJI products. And did you listen to me?
I did not. I did not.
Dude, that is gonna be so hard to recover.
Yeah, and you can't climb out there. I can't climb out there.
These trees are super fragile. There's no way that it would be smart for anybody to get, even if you could climb that tree, which, I mean, is very possible. I'm a very good tree climber. But to get that far out on one of those branches,
No, that's a death
I would
wish.
not trust them.
No. That would not be smart.
That's our buddy Scott rolling up. It's too dark at this point to do anything further about my stranded drone, so we'll have to kick it around in the morning.
Well, it is a beautiful morning here at Murderers Creek Ranch, but I still have a drone up in the tree. Over the course of the night where I didn't get a whole lot of sleep, various visualizations came into mind for getting that out of those tree branches. One thing that I visualized was something like harpoon gun-ish, some way to launch a rope up over that branch, get a rope up in there so that we could really pull, yank, and see if we could jiggle that thing loose. It's too high to climb up in there safely. Might be possible to get partway up in there and maybe cut the branch, but it's too high. It's not worth risking life or limb over. Scott's idea was similar to mine. He's a fisherman and he's got fishing gear with him, and his idea was basically to cast a heavy weight up over the branch so that we could pull on it. So that's a similar idea to what I was thinking in terms of, harpoon gun style, sort of launching a line up over there. We're gonna walk down there and see what we can figure out.
But first, I'm going to use Scott's stove to boil water for my coffee, since my stove hose has failed.
Scott, you got a spare burner for a moment?
You bet.
Now that everyone has had some kind of breakfast, we're going to reassess the situation in the light of day.
Well, I'm usually pretty bad at estimating height, but there's like 10, 20, I'd say maybe 30 feet up where that's at. So after coming down here and looking at it, Scott still thinks he can get it by casting a fishing line up there with the weight. On top of everything else, right where I was standing, talking to you, I was right on a yellow jacket nest. So I just got stung. I don't know if we can see him spinning around there. And Jason walked in here and he just got stung as well.
Scott's very first cast was remarkably accurate despite the tangle of branches in the way.
And you can actually reel it in.
Yeah, if you guys can hold on to both ends and jiggle.
That's what I'm thinking. Oh, look at that. Wiggling it.
Oh, you are wiggling it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, that one went too high up.
What are we doing here? Where's he going at? I can't see. Oh, there it is. It's not.
You're moving branches that are near it, but the drone is not moving.
I've got a master plan.
Okay.
I have a master plan.
Okay.
I've got a bunch of paracord, and I'm going to tie some paracord onto this.
Oh, and reel
then
it up.
what we will do is then we'll get the paracord across, which
Yes.
will be much stronger.
Yes.
And then we can really reef on the branches.
Yes.
Jason went to get the paracord and grabbed a can of wasp spray while he was at it.
Hold on. Wanting to knot up on me. I got to figure out.
I put down the camera and helped Jason unravel the paracord, and finally, Scott was able to reel it up into the tree and back down to him on the other side.
Yeah, you are moving the drone. You are moving the drone. The prop is hooked on a branch, though.
Oh, come on, baby.
It's moving, though. Oh!
There she comes. There she goes.
Yeah! Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Jason.
Well, it did retain damage, unfortunately.
That's just fine.
But
Oh my gosh.
Fish? Oh.
Hallelujah.
So,
Yeah, it's almost perfectly okay except for this one piece here broke.
oh, yep. Although that's just, I mean, I could just kind of glue that back together probably.
The wings are actually all feel pretty good. It's just
Yeah.
this one little thing here, and quite honestly, yeah, I bet you you could probably continue to fly this thing without any
Yeah.
problems.
Yeah, I think so.
Where'd it?
Hallelujah.
So this is the only part where
Oh.
I can actually physically see a break.
Yeah.
The only thing left to do is see if it will indeed still fly.
It's handling just fine.
We're now into the afternoon, and I'm finally headed out.
Well, I am back on the road, and my plan originally was to go today and do a little bit more exploring, camp again tonight before heading home. But honestly, I did not sleep well at all last night, thinking about how to possibly recover that drone. And I'm just quite banged up from roaming around in the thorns last night. And I also have a very short window of time back home to get all these videos edited before I head off on my next fairly large adventure. So rather than push it another day, I am going to just go ahead and air up and head home.
While this trek came to sort of an abrupt, unplanned end, I've just been out in Utah and Colorado for about 10 days, so stay tuned for those adventures coming to the channel very soon. Thank you for watching.